10 signs that the lack of boundaries in your life might be hurting you. My name is Jo from Love Shift Academy, and I'm the host of the Dare to Love Club membership, where I show people how to break free from negative relationship patterns. And today I'm going to talk you through the 10 things to look out for, both in yourself and in the people around you, where they might be hurting you, hurting themselves, and hurting the relationship because they don't know how to communicate boundaries. People are boundaryless when they don't know where they end and others begin. And this creates a sabotaging, terrible, vicious cycle in a relationship where one person ends up being quite controlling and the other person can be a doormat. So what are the 10 signs that you need to look for? The first is when someone is saying, I don't know what I want. So you might ask them, like, where do you want to go tonight? Or what do you want to do for the meeting? And they go, I don't know, whatever you think is best. That is a red flag. And you want to sit back and not make the decision for them. Encourage them to come to a decision by themselves. The second thing is when someone is tending to say yes when they want to say no. So what happens? This person takes on too much, and then they struggle to follow through, which drives the person with boundaries, which often has too many boundaries, too rigid in their boundaries. It drives them crazy that this person has no follow through. And then you have people who do have follow through and they make themselves ill and exhaust themselves. And yet, despite them doing that, it's still not enough for the people that they're saying yes to, because they don't quite realize that they're not necessarily able to deliver at the quality that they've promised. Balls do get dropped. And so they need to learn to say no. The third thing is they believe that people use them and take advantage of them. So if you hear this complaint from a friend, you can know that there's a good chance that they either don't have a sense of self to even know where to put a boundary in, or they're not able to communicate that boundary. And so they're changing themselves to be what they think that you want them to be. The fourth thing is that they compromise their values and principles to keep people happy. You probably don't even know what their values and principles are. And if you're the person who's doing this, there's a good chance you may not know what your values and principles are, because you've not allowed yourself to have them as you've changed yourself to fit the people in your life. And this is a good place to start, because values and principles are not the same as likes and dislikes. We can do things we don't like for people. But when we compromise our values, we are losing the very essence of ourselves. So this is, I think, one of the most fundamental pillars to begin with, is asking yourself, what are my values and what are deal breakers that I'm not prepared to cross? No matter how much money is involved, no matter how many people I lose, I'm willing to take a stand for this thing. The fifth area is that your life might feel out of control. That it's in addiction terms, we call it relapsing. You don't have to be a substance addict to have your life out of control. It means that the demands on you in life are so great that you're not coping and you become dysfunctional. You might be dysfunctional in your relationship. You might be dysfunctional in terms of the things you've got to take care of in the world, but you're just not getting to them. And so things are starting to fall apart. You might be finding that you're getting deeply in debt. You might be burning bridges in all your relationships. You might be losing control of your kids. So this is a sign that you haven't put enough boundaries in place with yourself, never mind with others. You can struggle with addictions. People who struggle with addiction, often one of the first areas that they need to explore and implement is having healthy boundaries for themselves. And they say that you need to wait, and that boundaries are what's happened when you're angry. And I think it's more important to know yourself well enough to put boundaries in based on your values and principles and what you want for yourself, versus waiting to feel like someone has invaded a boundary and not respected you. And of course, that's an ever-changing thing and it's fluid. So a boundary you need today, you might not need tomorrow. And a boundary that you don't need today, you might need tomorrow. The seventh thing is that you easily feel guilty or anxious. And you feel guilty for saying no. You feel anxious about people being unhappy with you. And this eats at you. And these two things make you fearful. So you're not able to sit comfortably with yourself. And you might even struggle with insomnia. The eighth thing is that you overshare. So you are the too much information person, where you tell things to people too quickly who you don't even know well. And you have no discernment around what to tell. You break secrets, you gossip, and you share inappropriately about yourself in the circumstances that don't call for it. The ninth thing is that you act out. So people who are boundaryless, because they're conforming to be loved and to be accepted and to be seen, they don't know how to actively express when they need something or when they're unhappy. So what ends up happening is they do it passive aggressively. A good example of passive aggressive behavior are teenagers. It's that thing of slamming the door. So it's loud enough for you to hear it, but it's not directly to you, because they know if they did it directly to you, that you would say you would not allow them to speak to you like that. So they do it behind your back, but they make sure that you hear it. So lots of sabotaging passive aggressive behaviors that we can do when we are resentful and we want someone to know that we're unhappy with them. And the last thing is that you struggle to respect yourself. So you don't have follow through. So whether that's like, you disrespect your body by smoking and drinking too much, or whether that's because you say you're going to exercise and then you have no follow through with that. You're unable to implement healthy boundaries with yourself. And when you can't implement boundaries with yourself, it's that much easier for people to walk all over you, because that's the true meaning of boundarylessness. It's not just about other people. It begins and it ends with you. So thank you for joining me today. And if you recognize any of these 10 things, the more of them that you can say, yes, that's me, I think that the more chance there is that it's important for you to pay attention to focusing on healthy boundaries right now in your life. My name is Jo, and I'm the host of the Dare to Love Club, and I will see you tomorrow.